Greetings, I'm Artipain, and today we are going to talk about Scape Run Parasites mod. I present you an entire iceberg of facts about this horror masterpiece. The main part of information was found in official fandom, and its link will definitely be in the description of the video. Let's get started! October 40th, 2019 is the date when this horror started. The first version of mod contained only 6 monsters and had no mechanics of evolution and adaptation. In fact, it just was a crowd of creepy weirdos. The most terrifying thing in Parasites is not their appearance, but an ability to adapt to any damage source after contacting it for several times. The number of possible adaptations is unique for each type of parasite. For example, grown-up beacons and dispatchers can get used to 23 sources of damage. By devouring more and more hostile mobs, players and villagers, parasites can mutate, just like lickers from Resident Evil movie. Here is a scheme of all possible mutations. Also, there are 8 stages of parasite's evolution that remind the player of how bad the situation in his world is. Ikora is one of the mod developers. He takes part in painting and texturing the creatures, and his YouTube channel is known for its short horror videos based on Parasite's universe. Oh, and trailers for updates are presented in the form of analog horrors and cartoons too. On January 28th, Ikora released a showcase of Parasite's update. In a couple of days, the developers added dozens of new content. Briefly speaking, players received a compass of node detection, wands for mob manipulation, and 14 new monsters. Also, new blocks were added so that the infection could spread freely to most of nature and buildings. Some creatures' sounds were changed too. All these facts don't seem to be very interesting, do they? Anyway, we are going deeper. CRP mobs can break different grades of hardness depending on the type of mob or tier. All you need to know is that the hardness of bricks, planks, and other building materials is usually equal to 3 or 2. In fact, the only type of parasites a player can stop with this set of blocks is the primitive one. However, nobody can destroy obsidian because its hardness is equal to a whole 50 points. Some parasites have weak spots, and if you chance to find this place, the monster will start to bleed. Moreover, if both tendrils are ripped off, the creature will definitely lose its ability to adapt. This part of mod is a work in progress, but you can activate the event in configuration files. Briefly speaking, colonies are cities built by adult dispatchers. The place grants parasites with a wide range of bonuses to attack and resistance, and provides them with global adaptation. In other words, when a parasite that can adapt is killed within the range of a definite colony, it will send to the hive information about the damage source it suffered the most. Each newly spawned monster in current dimension will get used to this damage, but a little bit. There is a list of commands a player can use to control the situation in his world. To cut a long story short, there are commands for evolution stages, infected biomes, colonies, data and configuration manipulation. Players must have a level 2 permission level in the world or server to use commands from this mod. We are about to reach the bottom of the iceberg. Enderman's true weakness. Undoubtedly, this mutant is the most annoying and imbalanced character in the mod. His increased frequency of teleportation and ability to carry other parasites usually leads to the circle of players respawn and instant death. In official fandom it is said that the best way to stop this mutant is to hide in a building, whereas the ceiling height is no more than 2 blocks. But this method can't stop the crawling version of Enderman. So, an alternative efficient way to deal with them is to stand on a double layer of carpet. I don't really know what happens to monsters' minds, but they stumble upon an invisible wall while trying to reach the victim here. Officially, the mod hasn't received its lore yet, but there is some interesting information presented in the fandom. For example, you can find an article about the source. That is supposed to be a giant underground creature responsible for summoning beacons and dispatchers. Sounds like the final boss of CRP mod, isn't it? Scape Run mod has gained not only great popularity, but also those who want to port the creation to other versions of Minecraft. Of course, there are several good projects that have similar mechanics of infecting the player's world, but they well deserve to be called original. For example, Fungal Infection and Scald Infection are really independent mods with their unique designs and atmosphere. On the other hand, there are also brazen plagiarisms. So, the developers of these crafts are limited to borrowing models and editing textures, and that doesn't always end successfully. The mechanics of the infection taking over the player's world are not realized at all.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness! Squidward!
The designs of Crux, Host, Mangler, and Devourer were presented by the community of developers Discord server. The main part of Parasite's appearances is based on creatures from other computer games and some horror movies. For example, a simulated mob's walking heads were inspired by the novice thing from The Thing, a simulated Enderman animation was inspired by Twitchers from Dead Space, and overlords are inspired by a Venomouse from The Mist. If you've ever checked the comments about CRP mod, then you've probably already seen many complaints about high difficulty of game and imbalanced powers of monsters. Is CRP supposed to be played in regular Minecraft without additional mods? Well, the developers have never said anything about adding balance to their creation. Moro Picora in one of his videos said that mod is not really meant to be played in regular Minecraft. I think that speech of one of the developers is enough to get closure about this topic. In the fandom you can find some information about unused textures of mobs. The beacon of stage 5 is just a collage of colorful squares, but cut textures of a simulated human and long arm guy are fully functioning. I renamed PNG files of the mod so the actual mod had an appearance of the unused one. But I don't recommend repeating this action because an edited mod has a high risk of deleting itself. Anyway, meet these beauties! Well, this is the end of the iceberg. Hope it wasn't very boring. Maybe it could contain even more information about parasites, but I am too antisocial to discuss the iceberg somewhere on Reddit. Anyway, if you have some interesting facts about the mod, please write them in the comments. I'll read it all, I promise.